So let me know when you start. Here we go.
Hey everyone, this is Jamila from Beneva. She's just going to go through investing. She's our inside investing rep in Alberta. She is a really great resource, but she's just going to make this video for us so that she's going to outlay a little bit about Beneva, some of the paperwork. So you can probably go through the video and figure out what you need to figure out. But if you need help, always reach out to me. And also, Jamila is always able to help as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, Colleen. So, hi, everyone. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, like Colleen mentioned, I'm going to focus on our forms and how to fill our forms out, but I'll give you a little bit of background on Beneva for those of you who don't know. So in the 1940s, there were two companies that were started. One was called SSQ and the other was La Capitale. They're both Quebec-based companies, both specializing in insurance and investments. Now, about 3 years ago, there was a merger between the two, and that's kind of why I'm talking a little bit about this. And that merger, as of this year, because mergers take time, we now call ourselves Beneva. So if you've never heard of Beneva before, that is why. You probably heard of maybe La Capitale or SSQ. So one of the things that Beneva prides themselves on is something called the Beneva investment account, which is a combination between a mutual fund and a seg fund, which I'll talk a little bit about. Beneva also does GIAs, which is GICs, that the bank calls them GICs. Insurance companies have to call them GIAs, so we offer that as well. And then Beneva also offers what's called seg funds, but we offer them, they're actually called GIFs, guaranteed investment funds, okay? Now, we don't focus a lot of that with Beneva because our Beneva investment accounts are better than any of those. So I'll go through a little bit of that. Now, I mentioned that Beneva is Beneva investment accounts, so BIAs essentially, are a cross between a seg fund and a mutual fund. And why is that? So we are like a mutual fund in the sense that we offer 42 different funds with 6 different fund companies that we think are amazing and do really, really well with returns. And I'll explain where to find the rates of returns. But because we're an insurance company, we can actually, you don't need a mutual fund license to sell the Beneva investment accounts. But the other thing that we are kind of ahead of the game on is what's called our MERs, okay, or management expense ratios. So most mutual fund companies, seg fund companies will charge an MER. Now, a mutual fund company, though, they don't offer the beauty of bypassing probate, having a beneficiary that is guaranteed to be paid out first, okay, and also having a death benefit guarantee. Now, a seg fund will allow for that, but they will charge a guaranteed fee that sometimes is included in the MER. So you will often see higher MERs with a seg fund. And that is because seg fund companies or insurance companies that offer seg funds will charge a guaranteed fee to have these guarantees. Now, we, Beneva, under the Beneva investment account, we offer 100% death benefit guarantee for any contributions made before the age of 75. So we will guarantee those contributions when the policyholder passes away, but we do not charge a guarantee fee. And that is the beauty of offering, for us, we're offering lower fees, which means if there's growth with your clients, we're not taking off as much of an MER as a seg fund company would. Now, the downside, and there's only one, and it's not a huge deal, is that we don't offer as many funds as a seg fund company does. We focus on 42 funds, which keeps it really, really simple. But we have a seg fund product, as I mentioned, and that's the GIF, and we would offer just like any other seg fund company would. Okay, so for the Beneva investment accounts, just to recap, we have no guarantee fees because we do not offer fees for the death benefit guarantee. And we also offer only 42 funds that are really, really great funds. So I'll show you that. And of course, if you guys have any questions, beyond that, you can always call me and we can go through it a little bit more in detail. Now, the other thing that beneva maybe is a little bit behind on is we have an e-app if you have an iPad, and that is called Mobile Office. And we were one of the first to come out with that. However, we are now working on our e-app for everyone, and that is not going to be completed yet because we're still in a merger. But everybody else out there has one. Okay, so for us, this is what we're going to go through today. You have two options when you want to fill out forms with your clients. One is just doing an online form, which I'm going to show you. It's really easy. And the other is doing the e-app via Mobile Office on an iPad. So if you have an iPad, the key is you have to be able to do the latest updates. If you can, then you can use the e-app for the iPad. If you cannot, then you'd have to use the forms. So I'll stop there and I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go through one of the application forms that you might need to fill out with your clients. Can you see my screen, Colleen? Okay. So there's a couple things that we offer. One is anybody that has a comparison. So let's say you meet with a client, the client says, yeah, I have an RRSP and, I have 50 to 100,000 or more in it. If you want to do a comparison for that client, we will do that for you. We just need a statement, the most recent statement with the fund codes, the fund names, and the current market value. Okay, and we will do that for you just to show your client that we can actually match the clients or lower, we can have better fees for the client, but we can also give them better ratios because we have great returns with the 42 funds that we have. Okay, so you, whoa, okay, I'm okay. So let's go through one of the two application forms that you'll possibly need. Excuse my coughing. There are two specific application forms that you will need. One is for just a TFSA. Now, one thing I didn't mention about the beneva investment accounts, excuse me, is they are for registered funds only. So if you have a client that has non-registered funds, then you would do the GIFs or seg funds. We only offer this specific investment account for registered funds. So RRSPs, deferred profit, I think RSPs, sorry, TFSAs, LIFs, LIRAs, those RIFs, those would be what we would offer the beneva investment account for. So let's go through the TFSA form. Now, I'm going to show you where to find all of these. We'll go through the form and then I'll go through where to find this on our website and all the other forms that you need. And it's pretty simple. So this is what's called a T087 TFSA application form. If I scroll all the way to the bottom of the application form, you will see all of the 42 funds that we offer. Okay. Now, there's a couple things your clients can do or you can do for your clients. One is we offer pre-built portfolios with beneva, so I can send those to you. And so you can choose based on the investor profile of the client. So if the client is conservative, if they have a growth profile, if they have an aggressive growth profile, we have pre-built selected portfolios for those clients, or you can pick your own. Okay, so either or. The ones that we do, Dan, who's our outside, has a lot of experience, so he's picked some. And then we have just the beneva pre-built ones. Okay, so just based on history, rates of returns. And then you can see here that based on whatever fee series you want for your clients, you're going to see there's 3 fee series, and based on that is what you're going to put down on the application form. So we'll go through that. Now for WFG, there's a couple things to note. Oh, you're not WFG. Experior. Sorry. Okay, never mind.
We're good.
Never
as
mind.
long as it's better for us than for WFG, we're totally okay.
It actually is because you can offer all of the beneva products, including the gifts, right? So that's the big difference. Okay, so never mind about that then. Let's go back to the top of the application form and let's kind of start from the beginning. This is really, really simple. So you have a new contract. We'll use an example because Colleen's with me on the call. Colleen has a client. The client has agreed to move their TFSA with us, but they also want to start a PAC. Okay, so we're going to use that example and I'm going to show you kind of how to fill this out. And it's pretty simple. So obviously this is a new contract. So you would select a new contract here. Under section 2, the contract holder information, this is pretty simple. So you're going to put in the contract holder's last name, first name, address, street, date of birth, social insurance number, all of that information is needed. So that's section 2. Now, section 3, you would only ever have to fill out if you have other parties to the contract and the parties are listed here, okay? And that is very, very rare. So I'm not really going to go through that, but let's say you have an older client, you're a power of attorney on that client, then you would have to provide information here, okay? Other parties to the contract. Section 4 is only if you are in Quebec, so we're not going to go through that section. Section 5, this is where I mentioned that the beauty of having a mutual fund versus a seg fund or a beneva investment account is that you will appoint a beneficiary and the beneficiary is going to hold as the first payer. Okay, so you have a beneficiary. If something happens to you as a policy holder or Colleen's client, that beneficiary would get paid out. Okay, so always, always, always make sure the beneficiary is revocable. If the beneficiary is irrevocable, it's going to be a process to change that from irrevocable to revocable. So always revocable. If the client is a minor or you want to select a contingent beneficiary, you would fill out this section here, okay? And that is it about that section. So going back, section 5 would be filled out. That's it. You're gonna move on to section C or section 6. Now, section 6, there's 2 more sections to fill out. Section 6 is asking where the money is coming from. Okay, so in the example we are talking about a client that's transferring funds over. Let's say they're transferring funds over from RBC, okay, and they want to do a PAC. So here what's going to happen is you're going to select pre-authorized payment and you're going to select recurring payments. And let's say the client wants to do $100 a month. So now the beauty of, having an investment account or a seg fund for that matter is that all the client has to do start for a PAC is $50 per account. Okay. Now that's not per fund. So you could split up that $50 however you want. You could do $25 per fund or however you want to do it. Okay. And 2 funds. So $50 is the minimum amount. So here we're doing a pre-authorized debit. It's telling us to complete section 8, which we'll talk about here. And we're doing recurring payments of $100, okay? Now we're also doing a transfer from another institution. So in that case, we are going to put this here. We're going to fill in the amount. So let's say this is, let's manifest 50,000. And you don't have to worry about the maturity. Well, if it states what the maturity date is on the investment, you will put that in there, but most times it doesn't. So you can leave that blank. And here we're going to put RBC. Okay, that's all you'll have to fill out there. This section here, you would not have to fill out. This is only if you're transferring funds from a beneva account to a beneva account. Okay, so we're going to leave that blank. And we're going to leave this whole section blank and this whole section blank because that is only for the PTP or beneva to beneva. Okay, so that's it for that section. And then section 7 now is asking for the investment instructions. So how do you want to put this money? What funds do you want to choose? So if you are doing a GIC, you would fill this section out. Okay. If you were doing an equity index GSC, you would fill that section out. But we're doing the beneva investment accounts. That is the product that we use the most because there's no guarantee fees. So in here, what you would do is you would scroll down to that sheet I first showed you, which has the 42 funds listed. So let's say we're going to do I'm just going to put in Fiera Capital based on the fee series that you're going to choose. So let's say you're going to choose, let's say you're going to choose a CB5. So I'm just going to pretend here, but CB5 would start with an F6 and then it would have a couple letters. You're going to put the code in here. Now here, you're doing the periodic deposit, right? So we know we're doing the periodic deposit, and that periodic deposit is $100. So let's say we're going to do either a percentage here. So let's say you want to do of that $100, 25%. Okay. So if you're doing 25% here, we know that that'll be about $25. Okay. Now I'm just going to pretend, let's just go global equity AGF. So now I'm doing the next fund. This is going to be an F6, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to do 25% here as well. So on and so forth. Okay. So you're going to put in, if it's 25%, you would assume that there's 4 funds here that are going to equal 100%, which would be that $100 pack. Okay. Now here, there's a, so we're sorry, here, we're also doing a transfer, right? So that takes care of the pack. Let me just put in the pack as 25%. This isn't usually this complicated, but it can be. This is pretty common. Now here, what about that $50,000? How are we dispersing that? Okay, so now, same thing. So if we're going to do 4 funds here, and maybe it's the same 4 funds, well, what you're going to do here is you're going to go, well, you can actually do it here. So let's say you're using the same 4 funds. For the periodic deposit, you're doing 25%. For the transfer deposit, you would fill in the same thing. So let's say of the 50,000, you want to do 25%. Okay, we will disperse it that way. But you could also do a dollar amount if you wanted to do whatever is easier. So that's how you would fill in the periodic deposit and the transfer amount. Okay, so that is that section. Now, the final section that the client will fill out, or you will fill out for the client, is how you want this money or the pack to be coming in. Okay, so is it bi-weekly? Is it monthly? And you can see here, so I'm filling out the PAD section. It tells you you're going to have to fill out section 6 and 7, which we just did, and then section B1. So now in section B1, is the client paying this $100 monthly? So we're going to say that. We're going to put in, it's not a one-time, this is a periodic, and we're going to put in the date that we're starting this. So let's say we're starting this, 2023. Let's say we're starting this in September, or sorry. Let's say we're starting this in September, and let's just say we're doing the 1st. So this is how this would work. Okay, you would put in September 1st, and it would come out on the 1st of the month. So you can select how you want to do that. And then moving on, you're going to put in, either you're going to put in a void check or give us a void check, or you're going to just put in the banking information. And that is essentially it. After that, you're going to now start signing. So how we deal with the signing process for a client on a regular application form is you can use one of the most common signing methods. So whether it's Adobe, whether it's, I think it's OneSign or OneSpan, there's a couple different options that you can use to sign. One thing that's important to note is that we need to see a certificate of a completion if you are using Adobe, for example, or any one of the signing companies or the PDFs. We need a certificate of completion. Okay, so you're going to now fill out the authorization. So under section 10, you are going to select if you want the client, if the client wants you to make any transactions on their behalf without signing, okay, without their signing authority, then they will not fill this section out. If the client wants to sign any transaction that they do. So let's say after this is submitted, you want to change the funds. If you do not select this, or if your client doesn't select this, then you as the advisor will have signing authority. Okay, so that's the section you're going to fill out. And then after that, it's just signing. So section 11 is the contract holder's signature, okay, and the date. You're going to put the bank account holder signature as well. So that's usually going to be the client. And then you, the advisor, is going to sign here. Okay. So it's really that simple. The bottom after that kind of explains the instructions that I just went through with you. And then thinking about obviously the MGA, so Experior, all of this is going to be sent through your back office. Or we do allow Experior to send it to broker support. But I think Experior prefers you to send it through the back office way. And then anything kind of going forward after that, you can send it to broker support. Okay. So that is the TFSA form. Now I'm going to take you, any questions, Colleen?
Yeah, but is there another form that they'd still have to fill out like the normal transfer form from the relinquishing institution, right?
That's correct.
Fill that out
So
and send it in.
yeah, that's correct. So that is called a T2033. So I'm going to show you how to get that. So whenever you are transferring funds from another institution, there is an extra form that needs to be filled out, and that is called a T2033. So I left that out just because I want to show you how to access the website. So I'm going to go to the website here. Colleen, just let me know if you can still see my screen. Okay. So I'm going to go to the website, which is easy, www.beneva.ca. Okay. And I'm going to actually go to the main page because this automatically takes me to the document center. So you're going to see a purple screen here. As an advisor, the only place you will ever go, there are two places. One is to log in. Okay. And that is once you have clients with Beneva, you would log in. Okay. But if you're just doing a new application, you're going to click on advisors here. You're going to go to individual insurance and investments. And to find forms, you will always go to the document center. So under the document center here, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can click on savings and investment, and all of the forms you'll need will come up, but there's so many of them. Or you can put in, I know this is called a T2033, so I can search that way. Or you can put in a transfer form. Let's see if it comes up here. Yeah, so if you put in transfer, you can see here, there's a couple of them, but the direct transfer between institutions is for the Beneva investment accounts, that's what you would need. I'm going to open this up here, and you can see here that all of the information that you will need to fill out is here. So again, name of the contract holder here. Section B is what you are requesting to be transferred. Okay. The plan number, if there's a spouse, all of that information, maturity date, the name of plan insurer, the fax number, and the address. Now, one thing to mention is that it is the advisor's responsibility, if you're doing an online application or a printable application form, to fax this form to the institution. Okay, we don't do that for you, but you still want to send this in to us because we can do some follow-up, but it's still the advisor's responsibility. If you are using mobile office though, so on the iPad, and you put in the correct details, that actually gets sent to us through mobile office, and we will actually do that for you because it automatically gets faxed to the institution. So that's the benefit of actually having an iPad and doing mobile office. We will have that though. We will have that designed when we come up with our e-app. Okay, but for now, if you're doing this application form, it's the advisor's responsibility. And then here, it's going to explain recipient section C. Okay, so where is this going to? It's really that simple. Now, the plan contract number, this is important because if the client doesn't have a plan or contract number yet, there is a dummy code that you're going to put in here. I have that information. So if you are doing that, Colleen, I'll send you a list of them. So you can either go to Colleen or go to myself, and depending on whether it's a LIRA, LIF, RRSP, there's going to be a dummy plan number that you will put in until the contract is set up. And then after that, it's just signing. So really, really simple. And then again, you're going to attach this and send it in through Experior. You're going to send this fax to the institution, and then of course we're going to get a copy of that as well. Okay. So kind of getting out of the transfer form and going back here, if you want, I'm just going to click off here. Let's see if this works. If you are looking for a TFSA application form, and that is the form that I just brought up, it is here. It'll tell you investment accounts. So the accounts we're talking about without the guarantee fees is called the beneva investment accounts. And this is the form that you will need, okay, the TFSA. Now, if you were looking for anything other than a TFSA, so let's say you're doing an RRSP, then it's going to be this form here, which is a T097. And again, it says investment accounts, GIA, and equity index, but it says other than a TFSA. Okay, so those are the only two application forms you will ever use under the beneva investment accounts. Anything else, like if it's a seg fund or a GIF, just contact me and I can walk you through the form that you will need to find, and everything is on our website. Okay, so now kind of going back here to advisors, I'm going to show you one more thing, and that is the rates and returns page, because a lot of clients, especially if they're experienced at investments, they want to see that information, or you as the advisor want to see that information. So you're going to go to individual insurance and investments. Now you're going to bypass document center and you're going to go to the rates and returns. Under the rates and returns, we have two places that you can actually get weekly rates and returns. One is here. I'm going to bring this up. This is going to show you the most recent rates and returns for all of the 42 funds that I mentioned that are on the end of the application forms. So you can see here for if it's balanced, if it's Canadian equity, US and international equity, you can see there's a 3, 6, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and 10-year rate of return. Now, a lot of people there's a lot of questions I get. One of the most common questions is, do you have funds that generate 10% of returns or more? And in that case, I say, yes, we do. So this would be a sheet that if a client was asking, again, you could just go through the funds and you can kind of highlight the ones that are 10% or more. We have a couple of them. These are 14, 12, and then there's some here, and you can send that to your client. Okay, so this is where you would find the rates and return sheet. So really simple, but a lot of times clients also want to know the backgrounds of funds. So you can see here, if you go under investment product, you can select our GIAs, which are our GICs. You can select seg funds, but I'm going to select the beneva investment accounts. And I'm going to go through here. And now you're going to see, if I bring up the Morningstar links, this is going to show, again, all of those 42 funds, okay? But this is where you'll find the fund fact sheet. So this is actually some history on the funds. And there's two links. One is to Morningstar, which is a pretty popular investment publication where you can find the history of the fund. So if I click on that, just to give you an idea. Okay, so this is the AGF Fixed Income Plus fund, and it will kind of show you the performance of the fund. Again, it will show you the 1, 3, 5 year to date of the fund, which we already have a one pager on that. And if I click out of here and I go back, let me go back to Morningstar, and let's go to the PDF fund fact sheet. This will actually show you the beneva. This is beneva branded, obviously, but it tells you a little bit about the fund. So you can kind of see obviously a little bit on AGF, who the actual portfolio manager is. So we have really, really great portfolio managers. And that's kind of one of the reasons we pick the funds that we do, is based on the portfolio manager and their history, but it tells you a little bit about the fund composition as well. Okay, so anything you really need to find about the funds that we offer are on our website, beneva.ca. Okay, so any other questions that you guys have, feel free to reach out to me. So my number is 780-554-3540. And my name is Jamila, and give me a call and we can definitely talk more if you have any questions.